When I'm not making music, I'm probably watching or listening to way too many interviews or podcasts about music production. So to wrap up the year, I've pulled together 10 of my favourite tips from those podcasts and interviews that will help you to stay creative, improve as a producer, or be inspired to make more music. So that's enough from me. Let's jump straight into the first tip from Disclosure.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because whether you're in a band, whether you're a producer, when you start out, you're trying to replicate your heroes. You're trying to, because you're trying to work out how they do that. How do they get that sound? How do they achieve that?
It's literally the best advice you could give someone starting out. Get in the studio and copy your favorite tunes all day.
That's how you learn.
Until you get close, and then start to seep in some of your own, what you might do instead.
Recreating tracks is one of the best ways to understand how your favourite producers work. And that doesn't matter whether you're just starting out or you're years into your journey. And it's not about copying, it's about learning techniques that you can use in your own production as you move forward.
I have this technique called MMM, make your song, mix it down and move on. What that does is it allows you to write music without thinking about it. Even if you're blocked, just make something. Mix it down and go to the next thing. Do you have writer's block? If you want to overcome it, here's what you're going to do. Sit down at your DAW, make a song, don't judge it, just make it. And then give yourself a 1 hour timer and make that song in 1 hour. And after that hour's up, mix it down. Put it in your folder and then move on. That's the 3M technique. When you think you have writer's block, that's just an excuse to not make music. Go make music, mix it down and move on. Your best songs are in there, and sometimes you just have to crap some songs out.
So beat block isn't normally a lack of ideas, it's more about overthinking. And I think this technique from Decap is a way to break through that. Make something, finish it, and then just move on. Not every idea has to be amazing, but the more you create, the more chances you've got of creating something that you really love.
Do a lot of things that I've been meaning to do for ages, and one of those things was I went through my archive of old cassette tapes and DAT recordings and all these things that I'd done all over the years and digitized everything, and found all this music I made when I was a teenager and things like that. And I went through it all and found bits that were interesting, and I ended up making a lot of sounds and samples and stuff from all those cassettes and things. And I used a lot of those sounds on the record.
But this one's one of my favorites. Your old projects could be an absolute goldmine. Maybe there's a melody from a beat you started a month ago that you can reuse. Maybe there's a sample you created that you can bounce out and re-flip into something new. Something I like to do is go through my old projects every couple of months and just listen through and see if anything inspires something new. So maybe it could be an idea to grab your phone and set a timer for 2 months' time and then dig through all those old projects and see what you can find.
During Low End Theory, what I was thinking about doing as a producer was because of the pause tapes and me having to do that whole process and that whole dance. I started thinking about chops and catching things that are now an odd meter and putting them in the 4/4. So again, this is a 7/8 thing.
Yeah.
But excursions, I just simply the bass line is do 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 do. I just
So I think with this one, it's about thinking of creative ways to sample and not just doing the same things over and over again. By finding and chopping tracks with unusual time signatures, you're going to come across strange rhythms and you're going to chop them in a completely different way than you normally would. So yeah, don't be afraid to experiment and sample something that isn't 4/4.
Just, listening to music and just hearing stuff kind of jump out occasionally, and again, having another archive of samples of stuff as I hear it, and then I'll just kind of grab bits and just sort of throw everything in this sort of folder.
This is about staying organized. Anytime you hear a sound or a sample that resonates with you, save it into a folder. And then over time, you're going to build up a library of sounds that you can just go to when you haven't got any inspiration. And that might jumpstart an idea or even be that last little thing that you need to finish off a beat that you're stuck on.
I kind of found a pattern for me that tends to encourage that. And that is try to make 3, 4, 5 ideas a day, put them in a folder, do the same next day, do the same next day, do that 5 days a week, do it again next week, do it again next week. At the end of the month, just put the ones that sound good in another folder, finish them. So you're just constantly throwing paint at the canvas rather than procrastinating about that hi-hat.
So I think the general idea with this one is the more you create, whether that's loops, sketches, or full ideas, the more opportunities you're giving yourself to stumble upon something great. And I think another great thing about this tip is you're going through all of your old ideas and you're going to listen through and find all the good ones, and then you're going to finish those ones off. So you're going to have finished tracks at the end of it.
And another trick I love is to literally fuck with the master. So if I want to completely take a section into a new zone, sometimes I don't like to get into the minutiae of the tracks and just do it all in the master. So like, this is not what I did or would do with the song, but let's say I want this to live in a totally different place. I put an echo on the entire master, and then I just draw it. Hold on, start this at 0. Okay, so watch this. I want to go to the bridge, and I want it to feel totally different. It's obviously like the most extreme example, but it's a really nice way to completely leave sections.
So I only discovered this a few months ago, and I've heard a few people talk about it since. Putting effects on your master is an absolute game changer. And it's a quick way to create transitions or like big changes in your track when it's getting a little bit stale. C20 or the new Serato plugin Hex for something like this. And then you can just play with the wet dry knob, bringing it in and out, and create something really unique with your track.
Because I love collaborating, and it gets me away from the screen, gets me away from the computers, you know, and I can live more in the moment. It's other people that make me feel centered. It's collaboration and being around other people that helps me feel inspired, excited, you know, and it's the same for everyone, I guess.
This one's something I love doing, and I think collaboration is so important as a producer. We get used to just sitting in our room on our own, just making music. And when you get stuck, there's nothing more inspiring than maybe sending an idea to someone and hearing what they would do with it. And that could be a case of working with other musicians who play instruments that you can't. People that have strengths that you can't. Maybe their drums are amazing. Maybe you want to work with singers or rappers. You can send ideas out to people. But yeah, if you're stuck with anything, just think who you know, who you can send something out to.
For me, it's always searching for that next thing that, you know, inspired me within writing. It could be another word, it could be another concept, another song, another album. But it's just a challenge. It's just a search to write that perfect verse or that perfect song. I probably never get it, but I know one thing's gonna keep me driven.
Right.
So Kendrick's advice to always challenge yourself is about keeping things fresh. Don't just settle for what you're comfortable with. Explore new genres, new ideas, new ways of working. Growth can only come from trying something new.
Always work from your heart. Always remember the feeling that you got when you were young, before the music, which may inevitably become your job. Think about the days before that when you were young and the music was a hobby and it was something that genuinely gave you joy. Try to stay in that youthful mindset no matter how much responsibility comes along with life and production or your job. I think it's important that you keep that spirit.
And this final tip is something I think everybody needs to try and remember. Never lose sight of that joy that you had when you first started making music. As your life gets busier and you have more responsibilities, just try and remember that energy and the excitement that you first got the first time you made a beat. Try and keep that every time you load up your DAW and start something new. And I guess that's it. 10 tips that I hope will inspire your music making in 2025. Let me know your plans and goals for 2025 in the comments. What do you want to do with your music? And I'd love to see some of you join my new Discord. It's a space for producers to come and chat, share ideas, samples, collaborate. Hopefully just a great space for producers to grow together. And if you're looking for some inspiration for your next track at all, my pack, Soul Food Volume 1, is on sale for the next few days. It's full of song starters and stems to inspire your next track. You've just got to use the discount code MOISTMAKER50 when you get to the checkout, and the link to grab that is in the description. And you can also download my free sample pack as well. Again, link in the description. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in 2025.